I now call the June 15th, 2021 Finance Committee meeting to order at 6:45. The chair would entertain a motion to nominate a new chair for the Finance Committee.
Madam Chair, I nominate Lindsay Cox as chair.
I second.
All right, Councilman Pronto has the motion and Councilwoman Salisbury has the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passed. The chair would entertain a motion for the approval of claims.
So moved.
We have to read this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $861,003.46. The payroll and liabilities for June 4th, 2021 in the amount of $206,144.96. That's a total of $1,067,148.42.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Pronto, second by Councilwoman Salisbury. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passed. Is there anything additional that the committee needs to review?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, being no other business, I adjourn the meeting at 6:46.
I now call the June 15th, 2021 regular meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7 p.m. Councilman Dean Pronto will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilwoman Borders will give us the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to meet tonight. We ask for your guidance as we work together in our efforts to do what is best for our community. Strengthen us as we make tough decisions that are right for our citizens. We ask that you watch over our police and first responders who protect and serve every day. Thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Carla and Dean. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Would the city clerk please conduct roll call?
Mr. Honor, Councilman Dean Pronto,
Here.
Councilman Lindsay Cox,
Here?
Councilman Mike Bailey,
Here.
Councilwoman Carla Borders,
Here.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury,
Here.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Here. I declare that we have a quorum present, but before we do that, I'd ask for a motion to excuse Councilman Larson.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders has a motion and Councilman Bailey has a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I declare a quorum is present. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Pronto has the motion, and Councilwoman Borders has the second. Any further council discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Communication from the floor, citizens' comments. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item that is scheduled for a public hearing will be given the opportunity to speak during that public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the council on another item may speak now. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the council at this time to approach the podium and to identify yourself for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mike, how are-
Mike Jones, Fremont County Commission. I'm from the town on the other side of the county that has a football team almost as good as Riverton's. So first of all, I wanted to apologize for our late ask. As you know, we put in a request for some additional funds to help us with the ambulance at the county. And so I wanted to apologize that it was a late ask. We just finalized our contract about 2 weeks ago. And so with that late entry, we just added it into our budget, and we realized budgets are being finalized and all that. But we appreciate just a few minutes to tell you a little bit of background. I will say that the new company, which is called Priority, they plan to use the local name Frontier Ambulance. I was able to go down and do a site visit at one of their businesses in Phoenix. And I can say, and I did a full trip report, and you're welcome to get a copy of that. But I can say it's a very well-run company. If there's any danger signals, it's that they're growing too fast. But they got a lot of youth, a lot of energy. They throw money into their personnel development, their managerial development, and they back that up. The other thing that I think was a really good highlight that I saw when I was down there was their technology. They write interfaces directly into your dispatch system so they can better monitor their ambulances. A dramatic improvement over what we've had here in Fremont County. So we think we have a good company. The contract that we signed with them is for $903,000 per year that we will subsidize to keep them engaged. At this point, they plan on covering the whole county until we can figure out what to do with Du Bois. Du Bois has basically an average of 3 trips a week, and it's pretty hard to fund a system like that with just 3 trips a week. So to have an ambulance there with 2 crews 24/7. So we're going to be working towards looking at some sort of hybrid volunteer model. The contract is for 5 years with a 1-year review. So we'll, at the end of our first year, we'll sit down with them and we'll assess where we are. The ask that we sent forward to Riverton, we did a similar ask to the Joint Tribal Council for $100,000, $100,000 for Riverton, $100,000 for Lander, $20,000 for Du Bois and Shoshone each, and $10,000 for Hudson and Pavilion. The reason we came up with those numbers, and it's not super scientific, I think some of you have seen the heat map that was done before to show where the ambulances go, and the predominant spots really are Riverton, Lander, and the tribes. So without the detailed data to really do the analysis of where they are and where they go and all that, we took a shot so that we basically asked for about 40% of the municipalities to help us with that. And then we're covering 60%. So that total number that we're asking the municipalities is around 40%, with yours being about 10, since you're one of the larger ones, and then 100,000, and then, the same for Lander and the tribes. We see this, and we haven't really talked in depth in this, but certainly my view would be that this is a stopgap until the next major election. We can go and potentially ask for a health district of the people of Fremont County. She's asking for a health district or a rural medical district. We've talked with some legislators just about, could we come up with a unique district that would just be ambulance based? But we think we don't believe we can sustain this, or even all of us together can sustain this long term at these kind of kinds of expenses. But we think we're going to have to go out to the people and ask for money. But we're committed until that time to see that this happen. And we just thought it was fair to just ask. And again, apologize that it is late, but that's really it in a nutshell. And our chairman is with us. Anything I missed or? Okay. Any questions?
Mike, the Shoshone was 10,000,
20, I think.
20?
Yeah.
And Du Bois is 20?
Yeah, 20 for those two and then 10 for Pavilion and Hudson.
So where are you going to get 20 or $10,000 out of Pavilion?
Boy, Mike told me no problem the other day. I don't know if he's talking off the cuff or.
Maybe we can borrow ours from him too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an ask, and again, it wasn't super scientific, other than just looking at basic plot map to see where ambulances go, and go from there. Yeah, but it is.
Mike, I guess I have a question. Is the county going to continue to own the ambulances and maintain them and all that stuff too, like they were in the past?
Yes, they will, it's in the contract that they will pay maintenance through our vehicle maintenance, but we own the assets, we're not letting go of those, and the buildings. And so we have nothing's in the contract to say that potential.
So really, this is a supplementing them operating the
Yes.
system as opposed to them taking over the system.
Yes.
Okay.
Mike, could we get an idea of what they pay back in leases for the ambulances and for the barns and dispatch from you?
Go ahead. Yep.
Mr. Mayor, clarifying, are you asking, are they paying for a lease on those? I didn't
Are they
quite,
paying a lease on any of that equipment?
no, sir.
No, so they're not paying back anything for dispatch, do we?
The only thing that they are doing is they are paying for their dispatch, and their dispatch fee is $234,000. The dispatch fee is based totally off of the actual calls for service. The Fremont County Dispatch run by the sheriff. Dispatch is for Fremont County Fire, Ambulance, the SO, Wind River PD, I believe, and Lander. And so what he does is he takes all those calls every year and apportions out the cost for each department. That, I think, might be the long-term fix, if you will, for the ambulance, is looking at that sort of model as well. Is when we get the good data to figure out where those calls are coming from to apportion that cost. And the sheriff, in all honesty, he takes a 3-year average and says, okay, here it is, so that nobody's caught off guard on a yearly basis, with a big bill.
So they're not paying they're not paying back to the county anything for the vehicles or the buildings?
No, sir.
No depreciation or use or anything?
Through our previous contract, AMR was paying $250,000 a year. A portion of that was a potential for purchase, which, as you know, did not occur. So that was the model at that point.
And did they pay that for the 5 years?
They did. Including, they also paid for their dispatch fees as well.
Okay. And they did have a contract for 5 years?
Correct.
Okay. I think that gives us, anybody else have
Do
any?
they count the calls from dispatch if they are transported from the Riverton Hospital to the Lander Hospital?
Every time that mic is keyed is considered a call to dispatch, regardless. So, I mean, I think as entities started understanding the process approximately 8 or 9 years ago when the sheriff started that, every time that mic is keyed is basically a charge to your agency. So if you get some chatty patties on there, you're going to be paying more. And eventually, some of the services understood that, and they've cut it back.
So do you guys have those numbers of how many are being transported from hospital to hospital?
The intertribes?
We
No.
don't. However, through our exploration with Priority, they identified early on the issue of all the interfacility transfers. So we started conferring with Sage West, and as you know, I think in 2019, we're probably, transfers out, flights were close to 1,000, which is crazy, right? So their focus, they do not have an air company, an air medevac company. Their focus is strictly on ambulance. So they began conversations with us about interfacility traffic. And so whether that's between here and in Riverton, Lander and Riverton, or if it's between here and Casper, which 80% of the transfers are to Casper from this area, we're finding that 50% of those could go ground if we had people and equipment. That's a huge, and they want to go after that business. So they've sat down with Sage West and are beginning that conversation now to reduce that. I see that it may not benefit the bottom line here for us, but certainly benefits Fremont County. It's been a huge issue for us for years, and if we can reduce that air evac out of here and get it on ground, because they're not emergent. So if somebody breaks their leg, they're not dying, we can get them in a vehicle. It saves everybody money, and it makes the ambulance more profitable, so they can sustain their service here, and that works to benefit. So I don't know if that answers your question. We don't have the detailed data from Sage West on the in-betweens. We're just getting raw numbers. But with this new company, we're going to get it. We're going to get better data.
So does the contract include anything that is directly contractual with Sage West facility, or is that separate from the agreement with the county?
No, what we found is in our old contract, they were on a lot of occasions, were dispatching on their own, so that if there was an emergency, those on the ground at the scene were caught unawares. If we were sending an air asset, Classic, for example, and Guardian is coming in at the same time, you have a real issue. We cleared that up in this new contract that all dispatching, no matter what it is, will go through Fremont County. That way, we'll be able to get that data that you were asking about
Interfacility?
interfacilities.
Yes.
At this point, we don't have it because they were using their own systems.
So could you guys help us understand the 911 call dispatch centers a little bit better? Do you have that information, or could we get it
What
from you? What we
specifically,
do?
Mr. Mayor?
Well, we run 911 out of Lander, and we run it 911 out of Riverton.
Right.
And so my limited understanding of that, it's on prefix response. If the call comes out of Riverton, call comes out of the county, call from a cell phone, that type of information. Do we have that kind of?
So a lot of that, it is based off of GIS, if you will, especially if it's a cell phone. It depends on the tower that it's pinging. If you're closer to the metro area of Riverton or Lander, that's where you're going to go. So for instance, if somebody's out here on North Federal and they call for help, it's going to go right into his dispatch immediately, because that's how the GIS portion works.
And so I have a Riverton prefix cell phone, but if I'm on South Pass and hit a South Pass tower, it's gonna ping off that tower.
Yep. So it's all based off of geography.
Okay.
Your Honor, I have a question. Is this a subsidy, or is it just a flat cost?
Which part?
The 900,000,
It's a
908.
subsidy.
It is a subsidy, so that may not be completely utilized, or how is that going to be?
Well, our costs, when the county ran the ambulance, was over $3 million. And of course, they bill back to try to recover some of that. And so what we're seeing is the gap between the actual costs and what gets reimbursed through Medicare, Medicaid.
So,
Does that make sense?
It
Is that
does.
somewhat true?
Pretty close, yep.
Mike?
So I guess I have a question. So, and I guess it's already signed and already done, but could you do a minimum revenue guarantee to where if the ambulance was profitable and they got lots of trips to Casper and they were getting paid, that maybe our cost for the taxpayer would go down?
I thought we did build some of that in there.
We
yeah.
do have a built-in model. which will be revisited after the first year to really gauge how that's going to work. We also have a buffet, if you will, within the contract that we can pick and choose from. For instance, we said for this first year, we're taking the whole enchilada, which means we are going to go ahead and cover Du Bois and the whole area, and we're going to cover it just like we're doing now with all the ambulances and crews. After 6 months to a year, we should have real firm data as far as what we can do, what the municipalities are interested in, and really start choosing wisely as far as where that goes. Right now, the subsidy's at about 903 for this year, with approximately 3 to 4% increases on a yearly basis. But if they can get those hospital transfers from here to Casper on a ground, now they're making revenue, and they're making, pretty good revenue with that. It's a possibility we could see that subsidy decrease tremendously.
Right.
At this point, we don't know, because we don't know the numbers that can move yet.
Follow up there. And I guess, so in the 900,000 is the cost of ambulances and maintenance and all that, is that included in that number? Or is that
No,
over and above
no,
that number?
that 900,000 is right here. If this rig needs maintenance, they're paying for it. So what it would be is oil change, tires, regular maintenance, they're paying for it. They have a little accident, they pay for that. That's nowhere near this 900,000. That's a different pot, if you will.
But they're paying it out of their, so the county's going to do the work and bill it back to the
Correct.
ambulance?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So really, the county is not paying for that cost, the service is. They're just doing it
Priority
through the
is
county.
to pay for that, yes.
He's
Right.
paying for it.
And same thing with the ambulances, or does the county just own the ambulances and
The county will own and continue to own all assets.
they're not paying anything for that, I guess is my.
They're not.
So they're not leasing the ambulance per se? Okay.
So if the
Just have
ambulance,
to cost, maintenance costs.
Correct.
if the ambulance loses an engine, is that on you guys or is it on priority?
It's going to depend. If we can show that it's negligence on their part because they did not bring it in when we have told them on scheduled maintenance to do so, they're going to pay for it.
Okay.
And that's no different than AMR right now. We ran into that on several occasions where it was operator error, they fixed it. Sometimes, an engine goes because it's man-made.
Yep.
And it wasn't their fault. Okay, well then we step up and sometimes we split the cost 50-50.
Because it's a Chevy.
Comment, Mr. Mayor.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I have a couple more questions. As far as when I appreciate all the work you guys have done on this. I know it's been a long haul, but just a couple more questions. One, when you went down to Phoenix or when you talked to some people, how do they control customer costs? I mean, we don't really want our ambulance to be profitable. I mean, in some ways, we don't want to do that. We do. But how do you, for the citizens or residents, how do they control? Because it's a private equity firm out of Tennessee too, right?
Right.
And so,
They are, so the big thing with healthcare costs is recovery. It's the reimbursement that you get from CMS, Center for Medicare, Medicaid. They have their own dispatch that mirrors the 911 dispatch. So they collect all that data and then manage that data once they're on the scene and follow that. That same data is issued back to a department, a lot of different names. It's kind of a quality of information department that then looks at that information and scrubs it, looks at the addresses, looks up whatever information they can to maximize that information package to CMS to get the maximum possible reimbursement. So we just passed here in Wyoming, Senate File 53, which allows for additional reimbursements from CMS. All we have to do as a state is register for it. They were already on that, so they're really good at minimizing or maximizing, if you will, that reimbursement back to them. They had 13 different tribes that they worked with and had extensive relationships with them. One of the things I was very impressed with is they have bi-monthly meetings with hospitals, ER departments, the medical directors from the fire departments, and review all the cases that are going on. So their medical directors are looking at it. So if there's a crew that's misbehaving or not working properly, they're reviewing that data, and then it works back through their systems for either corrective action or improvement. So I was very impressed with that whole data collection system. Does that somewhat answer your question? I don't.
Yes, and then they have like a window from the state allowable cost from the Medicare costs to
Yeah,
bill people.
right.
As far as the cost, and I'll address that real quick, they have a set cost that we have approved
Okay.
for,
Oh, that's right, the rates.
yeah, for their rates.
Okay.
So a standby is $125.
Okay.
Is that an hour? I
Yeah.
can't remember.
But-
It's a published list. That list cannot go up above, I believe it's 4%. If they propose to, it has to come before the Board of County Commissioners for approval.
And the other thing, it's kind of like what Rich said, how do you propose the tribes coming up with the extra money when they don't have a tax base?
We've been meeting with the Intertribal Council several times. This is another item that is on our agenda to meet with them, I believe in 2 weeks. Stay tuned. But they are very interested in participating and helping. There's a possibility of having an ambulance barn in Arapahoe, maybe one in Ethity or Fort Washakie. We're not sure,
Okay.
but
They're
quite
very
frankly,
interested.
they're very, very interested.
And thank you.
It's good to talk to them.
Tony and I have gotten into both of those councils, and I find them to be very sensible people. So, whatever we can do to help, let us know. Mike?
Right.
And then one more thing about the dispatch you were talking about. So is the same rule where they have to run the dispatch through the county applied to the air ambulance folks?
Yes.
So then all the emergency services in Fremont County are going to go through Fremont County Sheriff's dispatch?
No. And you have, he has his own.
Well, I mean,
So Riverton has their own.
medical-wise, let's
Yes,
say.
but it's.
Yeah. But everything else, all air assets must go through Fremont County Dispatch. There's no other way around it now because our new ground ambulance does just ground. They don't do air, so they're not calling in their own forces now.
Right, so they're not calling their own air ambulance.
Right.
They're calling sheriff's office, they call the air ambulance, bring them in if they
And
need.
it will now get back on what we envisioned 5 years ago of an actual rotation.
Yeah, they won't have a preference there.
Right.
Yeah.
Carla?
Your Honor, I just wanted to find out who covers the insurance costs for the assets? Is that the county or
Both.
both? Okay.
They have their own liability insurance. The county also has our own insurance. So either way, whether it's their accident or it's our issue, will be covered.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Staff have any questions? Hey, we appreciate it. That was more than 3 minutes, so.
You're right.
We owe
We'll
you.
take it.
My session was done in 3.
We were glad to have you. Anytime you need something, come see us. Okay?
Thank you so much for
Thanks a
the
lot,
time.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
And we appreciate the air conditioning in here.
Yeah. We appreciate your comments on our building. We're fortunate the citizens of Riverton have funded a very wonderful place for us. We appreciate it. Thank you all. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
We also are lucky enough to have in the audience Representative Ottman. And Pepper, do you have anything that you want to address us, or are you okay where you're at? Okay. And we have a past representative, Scott Ratliff, behind you, so we were all a little bit scared with that much power in the room. We were all trying to look like we knew what we were doing. So. You'll have to speak in that mic, so maybe somebody in Hollywood will pick you up.
Yeah. I do have something I'd like to really briefly invite you to. Ernie Over has been very helpful. We started putting together a Veterans Path of Honor at Fort Washakie. We will be having the grand opening on August 12th, and I'd like to personally invite everybody from Riverton. The veterans that live in within the boundaries of the reservation, which includes Riverton, are in this Hall of Fame or Hall of Honor. So a lot of them will be your neighbors, and it's going to be a really, really cool deal. So welcome to it when you come.
Can we take your car? Can we borrow your car to go, your blue one?
We'd have to go two at a time. Mr. Ratliff is also with, help me, you represent Senator Loomis's office too, so thanks for coming. We appreciate that. Don't let Senator Loomis know I don't know her name, would you? Appreciate that. Any other questions? We appreciate the audience that's here tonight. With all that said, let's go to our consent agenda. Would the city clerk please read the consent agenda by item only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, June 1st, 2021, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, June 8th, 2021, special council meeting. Approval of the minutes, June 15th, 2021, finance committee meeting. And approval of the finance committee recommendations for June 15th, 2021. Approval of the municipal court report for the month of May 2021. And 2 open container permit applications. The first submitted by Sage Weber for a retirement party at J.C. Park on June 19th, 2021 from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. And the second submitted by Carolyn Hunter for a class reunion at Sunset Park on August 6th and 7th, 2021 from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. each day.
Thank you. Are there any items requiring further discussion?
Your Honor, the Finance Committee met earlier this evening and approved the consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $806,003.46, payroll and liabilities for June 4th, 2021 in the amount of $206,144.96, for a total of $1,067,148.42.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey has the motion. Councilwoman Borders has the second. Council discussion.
Your Honor, I'll abstain from the Bailey Enterprises line item on the Finance Committee report.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Public hearing and consideration of fireworks permit application, Riverton Little League. City Clerk's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mayor and Council, before you tonight for your consideration is a fireworks permit application from Riverton Little League for their end-of-season championship week at the Ron Sabin Little League Complex, and this will be held on June 23rd, 2021 from 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. The conditions of the permit application have been completed, the proper fees have been paid, and the letter of recommendation from the fire chief has been received. Proper notice to the public has been advertised, and also included in your packet is the map where the fireworks will be displayed. In addition, and as a requirement of our code, a representative from Riverton Little League is present at tonight's meeting should you have any questions. Based on the information provided through the application process, staff recommends approval of the fireworks permit application as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. That representative is Lindsay?
Yes, sir.
All right. How much money did we get from the Little League for permit?
$25, Your Honor.
$25? Okay. The chair would entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey has the motion. Councilman Paranto has the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I now declare a public hearing is open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state law and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record.
Seeing none, Your Honor, I move that we close the public hearing.
Got a motion from Councilman Bailey, Need a second?
Second.
Second is from Councilman Peranto. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the fireworks permit application.
Second.
So moved, okay. For the Riverton Little League. Councilwoman Salisbury has a motion, and I need a second.
I have the second.
Did you get it, Carla? Thank you. Councilwoman Borders has the second. Further discussion? I see we got a letter from the fire marshal, and we're on the, I believe we're on the cap with the fireworks.
Your Honor, I believe it abuts in a little bit. We put that entire area together. We learned during an event previously, a couple of years ago, that we do an area, and then Flying Phoenix then has a little bit, or whoever is putting it on has to move around. We'll try to avoid those usually, but we're more worried probably about the phytoremediation stuff, you know, but there's water, so.
So we're going to move the grinder?
Your Honor, we're going to put that on the other end of town.
All right. Sounds good. Anybody else have any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Consideration of ordinance number 21-007 on third and final reading, Riverton Municipal Code, Section 15.08.060, Electrical Inspectors Revision. Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 21-007 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 21-007 on third and final reading. An ordinance amending Title 15 Building Construction, Chapter 15.08 Electrical Code, Article 3 Permits and Inspections, Section 15.08.060 Electrical Inspector, Subsection A of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 21-007 on third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Cox has the motion, and Councilman Peranto has the second. Further discussion? Seeing none, would the city clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Christy Salisbury.
Aye.
Councilman Carla Borders.
Aye.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lindsay Cox.
Aye.
Councilman Dean Peranto.
Aye.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Aye. Motion passes. Consideration of ordinance number 21-006 on second reading, the Riverton Municipal Code, Chapter 5.04, Alcohol Beverage Revision. Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 21-006 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 21-006 on second reading. An ordinance amending Title 5 Business Licenses and Regulations, repealing and replacing Chapter 5.04 Alcoholic Beverages of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 21-006 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders has a motion. Lindsay, was that you?
Yep.
Councilwoman Cox has a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Consideration of ordinance number 21-008, second reading, amendment titled 17 Commercial C1 Code District. Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 21-008 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 21-008 on second reading, an ordinance amending Title 17 zoning, Chapter 17.56 Commercial District C1, Section 17.56.040 Use Regulations, subsection I of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 21-008 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Peranto has the motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Public hearing and consideration of a new restaurant liquor license, Wyoming Smokehouse LLC. City Clerk's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before you tonight for your consideration is a new restaurant liquor license application that was submitted by Wyoming Smokehouse LLC, doing business as Smokehouse Burgers and Fries. This restaurant is located at 116 North 6th Street East. The liquor license application is for the remainder of the liquor licensing year, which is through March 31st, 2022. The Wyoming Liquor Division has certified this application as complete, barring one minor change, and that is that the food service permit is currently in the DBA name rather than in the LLC name, which is the legal entity applying for the liquor license. So even with this minor discrepancy, the governing body can still approve the new restaurant liquor license with the contingency that the license will not be issued until the applicant receives their valid food service permit in the legal application's name. So barring the food service permit, the remainder of the application requirements have been fulfilled. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the new restaurant liquor license for Wyoming Smokehouse LLC, contingent upon the application receiving a valid food service permit in the LLC name.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders has the motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. I now declare a public hearing open. The public hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statute and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record. Seeing none, I would suggest that we close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Guard got the motion, and Councilwoman Cox has the second.
You can't move.
I
I
just
did the
moved.
motion.
Okay.
Stay still.
I wanted to move. Councilman Bailey has the motion. I have the pen. I fixed it.
That's right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passed. The chair would entertain a motion to approve a new restaurant liquor license for the Wyoming Smokehouse LLC, contingent on the license received with contingent upon the licensee receiving a valid food service permit.
So moved. Second.
Councilman Bailey has the motion. Councilwoman Borders has the second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Bid award for North 16th Street project. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is another 1% project coming before you. The 1% committee prioritized North 16th East as a project for this year. The committee went back and forth as to the appropriate application or scope of project. As you know, North 16th is an unpaved section of road. It requires significant amount of maintenance, and it receives a lot of surface drain water at this time, as water for a lot of the surrounding neighborhood to the south drains to that location, then gets in the detention pond near the apartment complex, and then eventually gets to the river. So this is an area of concern for the committee, for city staff, because North 16th has those issues that I mentioned, but it also carries a significant traffic load because there is a school there. It also connects to Webwood Road, which is a corridor that brings people to the business area and shopping area of town. As we went back and forth on the appropriate surface treatment, it was decided by the committee to leave a lot of the section unpaved with asphalt, however, to improve it. What we're going to do is we're going to put down recycled asphalt as a base to stabilize what's currently there, and then do a double chip seal, and then fog it. We'll also do a bit of pavement from where the existing pavement ends up to what is right now a dirt cross gutter. We're going to improve that to a concrete cross gutter that will significantly assist with the drainage, reduce all the potholing that's occurred, and also save time on city crews. Brendan Tolman prepared the plans and specifications for that. He's a wonderful asset to the city. And we put this project out to bid. Bids were open for the project last week on June 10th with the following results. Dave's Asphalt Company with a total bid in the amount of $167,053. The base bid covers the work I had mentioned. The alternate bid covers a fog seal application above the double chip. The next bid was received from 71 Construction. The total bid was in the amount of $225,001. Staff reviewed the proposals and concurred with them and found them to be responsive to bid specifications. Therefore, staff recommends the City Council award this project to Dave's Asphalt in the amount of $167,053, and that includes the base bid and the alternate bid.
Thank you. So, the chair would entertain a motion to award the North 16th Street Improvement Project to Dave's Asphalt Company in the amount of $167,053.
So moved. Second.
Councilman Toronto has a motion. Councilman Bailey has a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Consideration of the grant agreement of American Rescue Plan Act for the 2021 ARPA. City Administrator's report, please.
Sorry, Your Honor,
You got what?
Sorry, I got lost. Your Honor, the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 appropriated approximately $20 billion to the states. That distribution coming to us is approximately $1.64 million. As such, it'll be in a couple tranches. One of the things that we have to do is accept the ARPA grant award terms and conditions agreement and grant assurances that are associated with that. As we understand, with a lot of the federal funding, there's always strings attached, and we always have to jump through some hoops. I'm very appreciative of our staff, especially Mia Harris, for her work on putting this together, because the steps have been a little vague. We thought we applied everything to the, provided everything to the state, but it ended up that they needed a couple additional pieces of information and some assurances that have come late. So we're trying to build this plane a little bit as we're flying it. But in this case, we do need the grant award terms and conditions agreement approved in order for us to receive these funds. With that, Your Honor, there's a lot of reading in there, but I won't get into it too terribly far. It is recommended that council approve as presented, and we'd be happy to try to answer any questions that you have.
The chair would entertain a motion to accept the ARPA 2021 grant award terms and conditions agreements and grant assurances.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey has a motion and Councilwoman Cox has a second. Further discussion.
Your Honor.
Tony, is this part of the Rescue Plan Act that goes through 2026? So it'll be, the funding occurs through 2023, and then you have through 26 to actually utilize it?
Your Honor, I believe the date is 2024 for expenditures of these funds, but I would have to double check on that. I'm sorry, I don't have that off the cuff. If memory serves, the distribution on the funds right now is the distribution to, there's a nice title, something units, that deals with the cities that are under a certain population base, and so it'll go through the state and then back. The December 31st, 2024 is the date for these funds
Right.
to be out. So we'll get them I believe we'll get them relatively soon in the first tranche, and then again, probably towards the end of the year, beginning of next year again, depending on what happens. And then we have till 2024 to expend those in the allowable areas.
Okay.
Or do you mean 2026 to spend?
2024.
Okay.
We have to expend these funds by 2024, is our understanding.
That's been kind of a moving target, Mr. Mayor, right? Because they're initially, when they first came out, they said that it had to be expended by 24, but you had until 26 to actually do the implementation. I was just curious if that had changed, because that buys a little bit of time.
So-
Although it's not that much money. I mean, it's a lot of money, but.
There is a period of performance, Your Honor. The period of performance for the award begins on the date here and ends on December 31st of 2026.
Okay.
It says, as set forth in the Treasury's implementing regulations, receipt may use award funds to cover eligible costs incurred during the period that begins on March 3rd of 2021 and ends on December 31st of 2024.
Okay. Does that make sense? Although you'll probably have those funds expended fairly quickly. I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's not really in the scope of things.
Your Honor, and yes, one of the challenges that we see when we award we award chip seals, a couple $100,000. One of the challenges is $1.64 million does seem to be a lot, but when we get into how much we've watched how much the road costs or how much a gate costs. So it doesn't go quite as far as, a lot, but we're very happy to have it and use it appropriately.
Councilman Bailey.
Your Honor, Tony, I guess, could you tell us sort of what the general idea of the things that we are able to use that for?
So, yes, Your Honor. Got to get back to it. I had my computer updated. They do a wonderful job. It now works really well and moves faster than it did before. So the categories for use of the funds are detailed within your staff report. So support of public health expenditures for COVID-19 mitigation efforts is listed, address negative economic impacts, replace lost public sector revenue using the funding to provide government services, provide premium pay, and the one that largely applies to us probably the most is invest in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure to make, so your water and sewer projects all qualify very directly. Those expenses are probably where we would suggest focusing, but we haven't made any recommendations to that extent just yet.
Okay, thank you.
Tony, it's going to come out in two different troughs?
Your Honor, I believe that is correct.
So when do we get the second one? Do we get it next year?
I believe we'll get it at the end of this. My understanding is around May of this next year, of this coming year. So it's still within this budget. However, by the time we get into May, we're almost into the next budget. So it may get expended in the budget following.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We are now at reports and comments. Ernie, you said that you had some good news. Let's start off with you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, and city staff. I do have some good news. The Wyoming Association of Broadcasters this past Friday released the results of their annual awards judged by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association. And it was really unprecedented. We made history. KTAK FM 93.9 was named the state station of the year for the third consecutive year, which was unprecedented. And there's quite a few procedures that you have to go through, but after all, it results in really good programming and news and commercial utilization, public affairs, that sort of thing. It's all wrapped up together. But we also, for the second year in a row, won the Best Digital News Site Award for WYOToday.com, 2 years in a row for that. 2 out of the last 3 years, we've won the Best Public Service Campaign, which is the Stuff the Bus campaign that we held every December for the kids who don't get toys. Rusty Wirtz's program, the Renegade show in the mornings, was named the state's best radio program, which was really cool. We also won awards for the sportscasting and best commercial and best commercial campaign. So overall, it was 7 awards, which is quite unprecedented, and I think it speaks well to the staff that we have at the Wind River Radio Network. We have 5 radio stations and WYOToday.com. So we're very excited and happy to say that. It's not really bragging when it's fact. And we're very excited that we've got a great team put together and representing Riverton very well across the state. And we swept the awards, so that was pretty awesome. And I just wanted to share that good news with y'all.
We appreciate that. It's not bragging when you can do it, right?
That's right.
Tony?
Thank you.
A question, Ernie, which advertisement won for best? Which was the commercial?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask something like
because
that.
they're fun. Some of them are very funny.
Yeah, it was B&K Septic won the best commercial. And it was a lot. It was funny. Rusty did a great job with that. And the other commercial, that was for the commercial campaign, and the other commercial that won was for the Southside Exxon Travel Center in Thermopolis. We cover Fremont, Hot Springs, and Washakie counties with our radio signals, so we do work in each of those counties.
I thought it was probably the mayor and the administrator's report that got you over the top.
You know, unfortunately, that one did not score high.
Best public official address.
Oh,
Best public
We're
official
working to get
one.
that as a
Got to be
category.
joking.
We're going to have to work on your routine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
different costume, I guess, huh?
Yeah. And I also wanted to make a note that we got a really wonderful photograph from Missy White, who is the chairman of our FAST group. She was doing some traveling this past week and was in Denver and took a photograph of Gate B50 with the Destination Riverton splashed right on the screen there. And it's what we've been working for the past, how many, a decade, to get really great air service into Riverton. And it's happened now. So that was kind of cool that Missy shared that picture with us. So, and we're on track to have a record year of boardings
We are.
that we haven't seen since about 2004.
I have a funny story that ties into that. My sister flew up from Houston, and on the plane was Connie Carr, and she sat right by her and never got around to the fact that they were both going to Riverton until he got to Denver. And then they met in the terminal, and they were curious of where they were going, and both said Riverton, and so, you know, Riverton is becoming destination. So we do appreciate all the work you do on FAST, and you and Kyle and the rest of the team have done a wonderful job to keep that alive.
We'll also get marketing funds from Lander and the Wind River Visitors Council, and the town of Shoshone kicked in last year. So, you know, it's a county-wide effort to promote the air service, and we are becoming, with the name change of the airport to Central Wyoming Regional Airport, as you heard earlier, most people look for airports by geographical area, and this seems to be really working for us.
We really do appreciate your service, and glad the radio is doing so good.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Tony and I'll try to pick up our side of that, so we're not dragging you.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you. Dean, could you start us off on reports?
Absolutely. This week, yesterday actually, we had rescheduled the Fremont County School District 25 Rec Board meeting was postponed for a few days, and we had that last night. We, kind of the big event was our clerk, who is Jody, finalized our audit, our financial audit, which is kind of a big deal, and it was just a tremendous amount of work, so certainly have to give her kudos. She put a lot of effort into that, but we kind of ticked all the boxes that came back as needing some improvement. And a lot of that was just lost over time. So much that we do in that board is regulated, of course, but it's under the umbrella of School District 25. And over the years, bits, parts, and pieces of that just weren't really, I don't know that it wasn't paid attention to, but some of the Ts weren't crossed and some of the Is weren't dotted just because nobody on the board knew that those things had to be done. So the audit was a great review to kind of help us kind of fall in line with where we need to be for state statute. So a lot of work was done, just bonding of the officers, things like that. Nothing really substantial. It wasn't that we had any financial problems per se. It's just that some of the things weren't reviewed or put into minutes the way they should be. So we got that done. We had a great outcome from that audit, and Jody put a lot of work into that. Other than that, sir, that's it.
Are all their funds committed?
It's tough to say yes to that because there are funds that are held out in various accounts. But yes, for this year's allocation, and also the other side of that is not everybody takes or utilizes everything that was allocated to them. So that's kind of a yes/no answer. We allocated everything we needed to for this year, and we were able to accommodate most all the requests, at least in part. But no, there are still some funds available.
Sometimes the beautification portion doesn't get used up. And if you see that, would you let us know, and we'll try to press that into the tree board or some of the other places?
I think you should anyway, because some of those funds are there, or if an organization doesn't use all of their allotment or what was allocated for them, towards the end of the year, we actually have some funds that could be used for that. They typically get rolled over to the next year. Beautification is great.
Okay, thank you. Lindsay?
I haven't attended any meetings since the last council meeting. We've pushed pause to Thursdays so that I don't miss them on Tuesdays, and so we'll meet at the end of this month.
So how many games have you been to since last time we met?
20, I think. How many towns have I been to is more like it.
Mike?
I attended the Force Committee meeting just here yesterday, I think it was. Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we've got a full slate of projects on the line. Of course, we talked about 16th Street tonight. Davis, the projects that we have for 2021 season that we've sort of approved is the Davis Lane design. We've got to get that going, and then hopefully we can do some of that work this year. Hill Street, of course, which is in full swing. They've got that all tore all to heck, and hopefully getting that back together. We talked about 16th Street, Lewis Street, which is back behind Sundowner. They got a project that got approved for that I think we approved last meeting. And then Sunset, we're in the design phase, which is going to be a pretty extensive project. We're not sure exactly where, but basically we're looking at Federal to North 8th Street, and there's a irrigation lateral that goes through there, and so there's a lot of work to be planned and done. The general plan is to get the irrigation lateral, piece figured out so that we can do that in the off-season when there's no water in it. Obviously, that works a lot better. And then try to get Sunset on the board for next year for full construction. And then we've got some other pavement preservation projects when we're going to go in and chip seal, Pershing and Major are the two main ones. And then, of course, depending on how the bids come in and all that kind of stuff, there's some other small projects maybe that we could still pull out of the hat if we have any money left by the end of the year, or we don't run out of time, one of the two. So that was the only meeting I attended since that. Other than that, like Lindsay, I haven't been to as many ball games as Lindsay, but if you're having a really bad day, I would recommend highly to go see a T-ball game, which I did tonight before I came. Your problems will just dissolve and go away, and you can watch little kids just run around like little ants and have a great time. And so it's awesome.
They've probably melted by now.
Yes, and it was, there wasn't any ice building up on any of the fence posts or anything today, so
Appreciate that.
thanks.
Carla?
Your Honor, I, along with Representative Peranto, was at the District 25 Rec Board meeting last night. I just echo everything he said. They do some amazing things, and Jody is one impressive woman. She's worked really hard on this, and she gets a lot of kudos for that. The engagement meeting has not met yet this month. I did want to promote again the GoRiverton.com. There are a lot of really neat things going on this weekend. Actually, in 2 nights, we've got a concert to raise money for Eagles Hope. That's at CWSC with a platinum recording artist. There's a beer tasting at Bunk's Barbecue on Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30. There's a tribal rodeo this weekend at the fairgrounds. So I just urge everybody to go to GoRiverton.com and just check out everything that's going on.
The ambassadors are doing a really great job of that, and so I would encourage everybody to use that website. If you think nothing's going on in Riverton, you would be mistaken. So come join us up at Legion or Little League. There's plenty happening. So, Tony, could we go to your report and we'll come back to Christie?
Absolutely, Your Honor. Mine is relatively short. FCAG will meet on the 24th of this month. Mayor and I attend that. That will be in Lander this time, I believe, Your Honor. EDGE will meet Thursday. It'll be the first meeting since the award. We have been working through those agreements. We have provided Riverton Medical District their letter that they mentioned, so they can move forward with their USDA funding. Those agreements will be to you, starting probably the first meeting in July, and we'll echo the same language that we used in the letter that's been being developed already. The CWC one may come after that a little bit, simply because we're focusing on the one because it has a little bit more in terms of a timeline. There is a special meeting, I'm sorry, backing up. Ambassadors is meeting again, but they're not meeting in July this month. They'll meet in August. The new date is August 5th, and that is, they do meet here. Those happen at 5:30 in the bullpen. There is a special meeting on the 29th of this month. We do budget amendments at the end of the year to shore up where all the money is, move money appropriately into, so we reflect exactly what it is that we have done. You've had the quarterly reports already, and we've already just done budget. So we do this about every year.
Does the council have to come to that?
Yeah. I would request that at least 4 council members attend that meeting.
Okay.
What was
That's-
that date?
That is the 29th.
That's
And we are good. It's a 5:30 meeting.
5:30?
Yeah, it's relatively short. Mia Harris will provide the presentation on that one, as she does every year, and it's a normal part of our overall end-of-year budget process. Every year we do financial disclosure statements. Most of council had signed those, and it occurred to me earlier today that Councilman Peranto had not quite yet, because he just got on. So per requirement, Councilman Peranto has signed his financial disclosure statements. Those are things that, of course, the council always signs. Senior staff signs those as well. It's just a disclosure that of banking institutions that individuals have personal interest in terms of accounts or the like. Very standard and is required by the state, and it is required that we announce it as such.
So we found out where his money's at?
We find out where his money is at, but unfortunately, we asked him to put down his passcode,
Yeah.
his mother's maiden name, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and he just wouldn't do it.
I declined.
He respectfully declined. And then the last one is July. Mayor and I will attend the WAM conference. If there's anything that anybody wants us to carry that direction, please let us know. It'll be nice to go back to the WAM conference. We haven't been to one since Sheridan So it'll be nice to get back together a little bit. There's good training and good opportunities. If anybody else is still interested in going down at any point, we can still get you registered for that probably. It's good training. It's about 3 days long though, and then we're gonna have to turn around very early on Friday get back here because that's balloon weekend too. Rendezvous weekend.
We want our Friday balloon ride still, so it may have to be a night ride. Can you work on that?
What's the date again?
When again?
The 29th, that special meeting?
No, the,
15th and 16th of July.
Yeah,
okay.
14th, 15th, and 16th. And we get cut loose about noon on, we could maybe get out early if anybody wants to go.
Okay. I'll look and see if I can.
Christie, are you well?
Yes, it's like, but it just hits me the coffee thing. Sounds good.
Do you have-
My report from the chamber.
Please.
The treasurer, Herb Wilcox, is redoing the financials. I think he met with Tony afterwards to show actual costs and expenses from each area. That'll be easier to read and keep track of some of the financials. Then I sent everybody, or Tony sent everybody financials, but it was confusing. You didn't know what was going to what area and stuff. So he's redoing that to make it easy to read and show where everything's going. They shared the new airport video with the advertisements. It's really nice. I don't know, that was shown to everybody, so that's a nice thing for the airport. And they've moved their location. As many of you know, the chamber is now across the street from 80 Martin, the intersection of Depot, and they'll be putting a sign out soon. I didn't know we have 800 businesses listed in Riverton. 270 of them are active in the chamber. So that's a lot of businesses. Some of them are not in operation, but so they're trying to improve their membership in the chamber. The director has resigned, Ashley Strickland. Her last day will be June 15th, which leaves some work to be done for the 5K on Happy Days on July 10th. So there's a committee that'll be working, picking up where she left off. And Ashley's agreed to do some transition, provide details and documents to the new director. And so we have a screening committee to find a new director.
Is there anything that the city council can do to help you in that process? We'd really like it.
You have some good candidates.
Yeah, we would like to help you find.
Tell them to.
Yeah.
And I am on the
What's
screening
application?
committee, so.
What's the application process? A letter to the committee or what?
You can find it's been advertised and so they have to apply for it. It's on all of the
Okay.
social media and job service and
Okay.
Indeed and stuff, so.
So
we have-
do you know when they're going to make the selection?
Well, I emailed them today to see when they're gonna close the applicants. We've been getting them. And so I'm waiting for a response from.
They've already closed?
I don't think it's closed yet. I asked her today, when are we closing and when are we going to?
If you could get that to
Together.
us, we'd like to know.
I know, I was thinking we would find that out, so I'm not sure how that's gonna work yet, so.
Is there anything else? Since we met, after our meeting where we put the funding out, I had some calls to make to the Edge Committee and to the CWC, and I did those, and Tony, did you announce an Edge meeting it's this week, isn't it, the 17th?
Yes, Your Honor.
So we will have an Edge Committee meeting on the 17th here in the building. We'll go back over some of that ground and see where we can move those funds. We are really fortunate. Tony reports to me that the half cent generated maybe more funds than we thought it would for its first months out. So we may have some other funds there to move. We've met with Senator Salzar, and we had a meeting with Representative Oakley last week. and it was a very productive meeting, and we appreciate her service there. Most of that discussion covered judicial responsibilities and support of our police department, and we'll be working really hard with that. We're grateful to have Representative Ottman in the room, and we'll schedule a meeting with her. We're trying to get through all representatives and senators and send you guys with a wish list that we would like to support if we can, okay? We appreciate your attendance tonight. It means a lot for you to come sit through one of our meetings. We appreciate it. I also got to talk to Casper Television Station 13 on our budget, which kind of surprised me that they were interested in our budget, but they asked some very interesting questions, and it was nice to have that right on our fingertips so we could answer that. And then one of the highlights of last week was I got to attend a luncheon. Many of us did. Tony was there, Kyle was there, Mike, you were there, Dean, were you there?
What was that?
The governor came?
The governor even showed up. He was there. And so it was nice to listen to him, and I'd like to thank President Brad Tyndale of the CWC for the effort to bring him to town, and to what it was really about was Ernie was there, sat right next to Ernie, and Scott was there, Scott Ratliff, and what would you say, maybe 100 people in attendance? And the thrust was for economic growth and how we could stimulate economic success in Fremont County, and basically through the community college sector. And I don't know how Ernie does what he does, but he also sits on CWC's council, and so CWC has a lot of brands in the fire, and they've got the equine center that's coming online. Our building department, Eric's doing a great job pushing that forward. They also have their meat cutting process, and they've got some fabulous equipment parked up by the Babe Ruth field. I'm a little bit envious of all those trailers. Those are some nice looking pieces of equipment. And so they're really focusing on things that are done in Fremont County. And we have all these cattle that we raise, but we send them to Colorado and points unknown to do the processing, and we lose out on those things. So I really do appreciate them, and that's going to bring jobs to Fremont County, and that means jobs for Riverton, and we really do appreciate that. And I just would like to thank them for their foresight and looking forward, not just to educate our kids and entertain them, but to actually maybe put some process in place that would keep some in town. So thank you. Kudos to CWC. Had a lot of fun doing baseball. We would like a little bit cooler weather. If you guys would pray for something that would maybe cool down, it'd be kind of nice. We've all got our baseball games in and enjoying them. And so if you're out and looking for something to do, stop by Little League or the Legion Field. We have some really good baseball and a lot of fun things to do there. So is there any comments from staff? Chief, you got anything good to do?
No, sir.
I think there's one other thing that I skipped, but I saw it in the email chain today, and that is that Ernie pointed out that we have just one Tuesday that has a single flight, and the rest of our days through the summer are all booked in double flights. And we're putting numbers on the page. Kyle, you're doing a great job there, and appreciate your efforts, and the airport staff. I was up there, like I said, putting my sister on and off, and I was terribly impressed with the personnel that met us there, and early in the morning, and things were open and going, and it was just really well run. So every once in a while, you ought to get out of your bed and drive through Riverton about 5 in the morning and see the landscape. And CWC water was going, and the sun was coming up, and it was just a pretty sight to see. And so those guys, I asked the officer in charge up there, and I think he said 3:30 he has to show up there. ridiculous hour. But it's nice to have that stuff in place and the hard work. They mow like crazy up there to keep the weeds in check. These are things that you don't even think about. How many acres do we have to mow? Do you have any idea? 100 and some?
Your Honor, I don't have that off the top of my head, but the perimeter fence is like 8 miles.
And so by the time we get done mowing what we have to mow, it's time to mow the start again. So the mower just hardly turns off. And so lots of times we just don't see what's being accomplished. The parks look wonderful. I'm envious of, I can't keep my grass that green. Maybe if I got to use city water for free, I maybe could keep up. But I do appreciate the parks crews and the work that's being done for baseball is amazing. We've had some brownouts up on Legion Field, and I know they've been getting as much help as they can get. And so I think the city is really doing a great job with their crews out there looking forward and trying to patch the problems. We have great success on Main Street. We really do. We have some holdups up there, but the down, I haven't had an update personally. Do you have anything to update us on the lower section of Main yet?
Your Honor, I do not.
So everything I told you would not be really good information, but there is some holdup on the replacement of that concrete to asphalt, and so we're working to get those problems solved. After our special meeting last Tuesday, Councilman Paranto and Bailey went with Kyle and Tony and I up to Upper Main Street and looked at the project there. And we had some water problems that no water pressure was there. And by Wednesday morning, crews had that fixed and water was flowing, and that was working really good. And so what we've accomplished there was we slid a 12-inch pipe through a 14-inch pipe. The 14-inch pipe was 70 years old. And I guess that goes back to what we do here. We have to have the ability to look forward 70 years and do a good job at what we do. And that's really important. And so I appreciate the mayors that went in front of us for the work that they've done and for the beauty that I see in Riverton. We have the best corridors of any city in the state of Wyoming. If you come down Federal or up Main Street, they are excellent corridors. And with the flags being out yesterday, it was really fun to drive down those streets. So I appreciate what people do in Riverton and for the help and access that we get. If there's no other comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ernie?
the new balloon is flying.
It was.
Saw it this morning.
It went dead center over my house at 6:30, and I really did appreciate it. It was the new balloon, the black envelope. And my wife said that there's a balloon in the air, I can hear it. And so we went looking for it, and it scared our pet cranes over in the next field. So, but it was fun to see them. So, anything else? Okay, then we'll stand adjourned at 8:22.